Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Can you believe we are already halfway through our week?
That was easy.
Now, considering that we had that day off on Monday, well, you did, okay? Now, before we get into today's work, I just want to remind you that yesterday we did Operations and Algebraic Thinking as well as Numbers in Base 10 review. Today is specifically covering Operations and Algebraic Thinking. Now, something that I want you to keep in mind is that when we are doing our third grade review this week, it's also preparing us for our review quizzes. So every time that we, not only just this week, but every time we do our review on third grade review, it's also preparing you for those quizzes that you take every Friday that I have. Sometimes they're alternated between multiplication and division as well as the review. But when you take those review quizzes, you should be acing them because we are flying through every instruction video is covering all of that material that you need to prepare for those quizzes. That's why it's important that you watch these videos. You make sure you're taking notes. You make sure you have the correct answers, okay? Now, before we get started into our work, I'm gonna play a flowcab video for you on multiplying by 8. All right, let's get started.
Do you know about your 8s?
Man, I know about my 8s and I feel great.
Well, I bet I know my 8s better than you.
Let me hear you spit some rhymes and we'll see if it's true.
Like 8 times 1, I won't make a mistake. I know 8 times 1 equals 8.
8 times 2?
Man, you won't trick me. I know 8 times 2 is 16.
8 times 3?
Yeah, of course. I know that 8 times 3 is 24.
8 times 4? I get up early, dude. Cause 8 times 4 is 32.
Man, don't get it twisted like a curly Q. I'm like a bird, cause I can get up early too. So 8 times 5, I know that surely, man. 8 times 5 is 40.
8 times 6, stop, wait. 8 times 6 is 48.
8 times 7, man, I'm flipping the script. Cause 8 times 7 is 56.
8 times 8, oop, I'm flipping it more. Cause 8 times 8 is 64.
8 times 9, I think I'm better than you. Cause I know 8 times 9 is 72.
8 times 10 is easy, easy. Cause 8 times 10 is 80. What you think about that, Tragic? Come on.
Yo, B, do you know about your 8s?
Man, I know about my 8s and I feel great.
Well, I bet I know my 8s better than you.
Let me hear you spit some rhymes and we'll see if it's true.
Yo, B, do you know about your 8s?
Man, I know about my 8s and I feel great.
Well, I bet I know my 8s better than you.
Let me hear you spit some rhymes and we'll see if it's true.
I check it. 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 6 is 48. 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 10 is 80. 8 times 7 is 56. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 1 is, come on, 8. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 9 is 72. 8 times 8 is 64.
All right, I hope you enjoyed that flowcab by 8s, multiplying by 8s video. Now we're gonna get started with our work for today. I have my Elmo here so you can follow along with what I'm doing. I'm gonna be highlighting and writing. So if you need to pull up the attachment, or if you printed the attachment, or if you wrote your answers on paper, you are ready to check your work at this time. Let's get started. All right, so I'm hoping you can see this pretty well. Now, this is the page we're going to start on. I know the attachment maybe was out of order, but this is the page that it should have come first, but no worries if you did this second or first, it doesn't matter. We're going to go over the work and the answers for it now, okay? So it says, show all strategies when solving the problems. Use notebook paper if needed. okay, if needed. Now, in this case, Mr. B had his printable copy. I printed it out. I'm going to write inside these boxes, so I don't need paper to show my work or show the strategies when solving the problems. But if you had paper and you did not print this out, no worries. You can just follow along to see if your answers are correct or if the work that you've shown as well as your answers are correct, okay? Now, let's take a look at our first box. It says, show on the number line 4 divided by 2 equals, write the quotient, okay? Now, we know 4 divided by 2 equals 2, okay? Do we know our key terms when it comes to talking about division? Do we remember that this is our dividend, this is our divisor, and our answer to our division problem, as we know, is our quotient, okay? So 4 divided by 2, we know equals 2, write the quotient, that's 2. Now it says show on the number line. How do we show that? Remember, once again, when you're doing division on a number line, you are going towards 0 instead of away from it. So in this case, we're doing division, 4 divided by 2, so we're going to go down as far as we can to 0. We start with 4, but we do not use 4 when we make our jumps. We count the individuals in between after 4. Okay, so 1, 2, that's 1 jump. 1, 2, on that 0, that's 2 jumps. So that's how we use that on the number line to show 4 divided by 2, especially with division, we go down, okay? That next box, it says, how many groups of 8 can you make with 16 shapes? Very simple. How many groups of 8? Groups of 8. So you need to make groups, of course, of 8. And that's exactly what I did. Yours does not have to look exactly how mine looks. As long as you have 8 of those shapes in a group out of the 16, and you have 2 groups of 8, then you are good, okay? Next box, it says write the multiplication equation. So when we take a look at this, the first thing that we want to know is how many groups are there? There's 1, 2, 3. The next step that we want to know is how many stars are in each of the groups? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so our multiplication would be 3 times 4, we know equals 12. But to make sure, we're going to count all those stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, right, we're moving on to our next box. Now our next box says write the division equation, okay? When we take a look at this, the first thing that we want to know is how many total dots do we have in all of the groups combined? And we know that we have 18 total dots, okay? Now we want to know how many groups we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so far we have representation of 18 and 6. 18 divided by 6, since we're writing a division equation, 18 divided by 6 equals 3, okay? Now we're going to move forward to the next box. It says if 8 times 6 equals 48, we know this, then 8 times 60 equals what? Now we know that's 480. For those that need a breakdown, remember you do 8 times 6 first and you get 48. Then you add that 0 that you see, which is only 1 0, okay, at the very end. So your answer should have been 480, all right? Now most of you are probably thinking, once again,
That was easy.
and that's great. I'm happy to hear that. Now, when we take a look at our next problem, it says John found 16 crayons. He decided to share them with 3 of his friends. How many crayons did they each get? Okay. Now he decided to share them with 3 of his friends. Can you tell the mistake that I made in my division problem? Why is it not 16 divided by 3? He decided to share them with 3 of his friends. So this should be 4, okay? So John and 3 of his friends. Shout out to John, okay? So 16 divided by 4, we know equals 4. How many crayons did each get? That keyword each, 4. They got 4 crayons. All right, let's move to our next box, okay? It says John, man, John is out here today. Hey, John, hope you're doing well. Okay, John bought 2 boxes of books at a yard sale. Okay, let me get my highlighter here. 2 boxes of books at a yard sale. If each box had 5 books, how many books did he buy? So when it asks us that last question, how many books did he buy? It's asking us that total number. So we have 2 boxes of books. Each box had 5 books in it, okay? So 2 times 5, we're doing multiplication. 2 times 5 equals 10. Is it just 10? Nope, it said how many books did he buy? 10 books. Okay, all right, our next box, it says write the missing equation using inverse Ooh, that should be an N after the I, typo. Okay. Inverse relationship, fact family. Okay. Now, taking a look, remember when we're working with fact families, we need 2 multiplication and we need 2 division to go with the 3 numbers that are in our fact family. So let's take a look at what we have so far and write that missing equation. Okay. Remember, inverse is just the opposite. Okay. So that inverse, so the inverse of division would be multiplication. Inverse of multiplication would be division. Okay. So let's take a look. We have 6 times 8 equals 48. We have 48 divided by 8 equals 6. And we have 8 times 6 equals 48. So far we have 2 multiplication, but we only have 1 division. We need the other division. So instead of saying 48 divided by 8 equals 6, we can just say 48 divided by 6 equals 8. Now our fact family is fully complete, and we have written the missing equation for the inverse relationship. Okay? That next one, it says B. Remember, I told you in questions, there's often going to be letters or a question mark itself asking you to solve for that question mark. We're figuring out the unknown number, okay? So B, in this case, times 5 equals 50. What times 5 would equal 50? Okay? We know that 10 times 5 equals 50. All right? Now we're going to move to the next page because we're done with this one, okay? All right, now we are on the next page. So go ahead and make sure you're on this page, or you at least have your answers to match up with what this page is talking about, okay? So it says, what number correctly answers both equations? All right, 20 divided by 4 equals 5. We know this. So 5 times 4 equals 20.
That was easy.
See? All right, we're going to move to the next one. Okay, so it says 9 times 15 equals parentheses 9 times 9 plus parentheses 9 times blank. This is working on which property? Yep, you guessed it, the distributive property. So if we have 9s in both of the parentheses, that means that's the one number that stays the same. Remember, with distributive property, we have one number that stays the same and the other number is broken down into addition, okay? So the 9 is the number that stayed the same. Now the 15 is the one that is being broken down into addition. So we need to know 9 plus what would equal 15, okay? Let's figure that out. Right now, hopefully we figured out that 6 plus 9 is equal to 15. So in our parentheses, we should have filled in that 6. So now after we figured out what goes in our parentheses, now we solve for the parentheses. So we have 9 times 9, which equals 81. Then we have 9 times 6, which equals 54. Okay, now you solve for 81 plus 54. Okay, so 81 plus 54, I'm going to line it up. Mr. B doesn't have the best notebook handwriting, but that's okay, right? So 1 plus 4 we know equals 5, and then 8 plus 5 we know equals 13. So our answer to 81 plus 54 equals 135, right? Now we've solved that box. Moving on over, we have determine which choice best shows the identity property of multiplication. Let's review what the identity property of multiplication is. All right, so our identity property of multiplication, all right, we're going to come down here. It's a number can keep its identity by multiplying by 1. Okay, so example is 6 times 1 equals 6. Another example might be 7 times 1 equals 7. So let's go back to what our question was asking us. Okay, so in that, we know that it equals the identity, what it equals is the identity property of multiplication is one that is multiplied by 1 and still keeps its identity. So in this case, that would be C, 1 times 6 equals 6, okay? All right, next question. 20 divided by 4. We're back to that same question again. I think we're going to go ahead and skip that because it's the exact same thing as the top box. So sorry for that repeated question. Didn't mean to do that. Let's move to the next one. Okay, so 5 times 10 equals V. V equals, okay, we're just solving for what V would be. So 5 times 10 equals 50.
That was easy.
All right, we're going to move to our next box. It says Tom bought several boxes of books at a yard sale and ended up with 12 books total. If each box had 2 books, how many boxes did he buy? Okay, So let's take a look here. Several boxes of books at a yard sale and ended up with 12 books total. If each box had 2 books, how many boxes did he buy? Okay, so let's see here. We have 12 times 2, okay? So 12 times 2 equals, right now, excuse me, I'm ready to do 12 times 2. 12 divided by 2, excuse me, equals 6. So how many boxes did he buy? He bought 6 boxes. Okay, very simple. Okay, next question. Moving my cord out the way here. It says, while playing at the arcade, Paul won 39 tickets playing whack-a-mole. Okay, 39 tickets. That's a number here. 39 tickets while playing whack-a-mole, and 15 tickets playing skee-ball. Okay, 15 tickets playing skee-ball. If he was trying to buy candy that costs $9, 9 tickets a piece, excuse me, how many could he buy? Okay, so let's break this down here. Sometimes with these word problems, you kind of have to go back. And most of the time, you have to go back into your word problem because after reading so much information, it can be a little bit overwhelming. So let's first go to our first 2 sentences. So we have 39 tickets, and then we have 15 tickets. 39, and then it tells us, and 15, okay? 9 plus 5, we know equals 14. Put down the 4, carry the 1. 1 plus 3 equals 4. 4 plus 1 equals 5. We know we have 54 total at this point, okay? Now, if it says he was trying to buy candy that costs 9 tickets a piece, that means we're going to do 54 divided by 9, and how many could he buy? 6. So if he was trying to buy candy that costs 9 tickets a piece, how many could he buy? 6, okay? Our next box, it says, at the town carnival, Billy rode the Ferris wheel 7 times. Okay, let me get my highlighter here. Important number, 7 times. And the bumper cars 3 times. If each ride costs 5 tickets, how many tickets did he use? Okay, now once again, those word problems, you gotta go back. You have to. Now, as always, there's many ways that you could do this. Now, first things first, when you see 7 times and the bumper cars 3 times, you know that keyword and tells you to add, because we worked on that. 3 plus 7 equals 10, okay? It says if each ride costs 5 tickets, how many tickets did he use? Each costs 5 tickets, so each of the rides costs 5 tickets, and he rode it 7 times and 3 times, so 7 times for the Ferris wheel and 3 times for the bumper cars. 10 times 5, we know would equal 50. 50 tickets, okay? Is that the only way? No. I'm going to show you another way you could have done this. So you could have figured out that if it said 7 times and the bumper cars 3 times, if each ride costs 5 tickets, you could have broken it down. You could have done the 7 times the 5 tickets that it costs to get 35, or you could have done the 3 times. Is that cricket? Okay. You could have done the 3 times the 5 tickets that it costs and got 15, and then added them at the very end. So 5 plus 5 equals 0, carry the 1, 1 plus 3 equals 4, 4 plus 1 equals 5, and you would have still gotten 50 tickets, okay? All right, our last box, it says for Halloween, Debbie and her sister combined the candy they received, okay? Combined, that means they put it together, okay? Debbie had 32 pieces of candy while her sister had 42, okay? If they ate 35 pieces the first night, how many pieces do they have left? Now there's many keywords, and especially 8 and left, that tell us to subtract, but first we need to add, because in the beginning it told us that Debbie and her sister combined the candy. So if Debbie had 32 plus 42 that her sister had, 2 plus 2 equals 4, 3 plus 4 equals 7, okay? So we're at 74 pieces so far. Now, once we kept reading, it said if they ate 35 pieces the first night, and then it asked us how many are left, that means we're gonna do 74 minus 35, okay? All right. Okay, now remember when with this, we are going to, if we can't do 4 minus 5, so we're gonna make this a 14, and then we're gonna make this a 6. So now we have 14 minus 5, which equals 9, and 6 minus 3, we know equals 39. So our answer as to how many pieces do they have left? 39 pieces, Okay? All right, and that concludes our work for today.
That was easy.
Now let's move forward. I'm going to play a FlowCAD video for you, and you'll be on your way.
All right.
Check. Now 9 is a little bit magic. You can take it from me or from tragic.
Yeah, when you multiply by 9, the digits and the answers add to 9.
Hold up, tragic, I don't get what you mean.
Okay, take 9 times 2, which is 18. 1 plus 8 equals 9. And that's true every time. Check it out. 9 times 10 is 90. 9 plus 0 equals 9. 9 times 9 is 81. 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 times 8 is 72. 7 plus 2 is 9. 9 times 7 is 63. And 6 plus 3 is 9. 9 times 6 is 54. 5 plus 4 is 9. 9 times 5 is 45. 4 plus 5 is 9. 9 times 4 is 36. 3 plus 6 is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. 2 plus 7 is 9. 9 times 2 is 18. 1 plus 8 is 9. 9 times 1 is 9. And 9 equals 9. Do you want to know why I feel so fine? I got 99 kinds of rhymes. I got 99 kinds. Do you want to know why I feel so fine? I got 99 kinds of rhymes. I got 99 kinds of rhymes.
9 times 10 is 90. 9 times 3 is 27. 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 7 is 63. 9 times 5 is 45. 9 times 4 is 36. 9 times 8 is 72. 9 times 9 is 81. 9 times 6 is 54. And 9 times 1 is 9.
Do you want to know why I feel so fine? I got 99 kinds of rhymes. I got 99 kinds. Do you want to know why I feel so fine? I got 99 kinds of rhymes. I got 99 kinds of rhymes.